Alright, hello, it's Dreamfeed here. I'm back from holiday, so here I am making another video for you. Uh, this is like the fifth time I made this video because things just keep going wrong. But it's kind of good because they were probably a bit too long earlier. I like to waffle. I haven't really planned this out too well, but we'll just see how we go. So today I'm going to show you how to make a cool electro house, whatever sound source in Alchemy. And today I'll show you the song Robina, which I think is pretty cool. I got into this before I left on my trip, and I listened to it a lot. It's a pretty sick song. He's a small producer from Australia. So big ups to Robina. So I'll show you how to make this sound in this song, and I'll just show you. It's a very versatile sound, so you can basically use it in anything you want. Here you go. So what I can hear in that is basically different layers. So actually, let's initialize this. Let's turn this automation off. So it's undoubtedly a saw sound. I mean, you could argue that it could be a thin square wave, a pulse with modulated saw wave. Square wave, I mean, but it's most likely a saw because that's basically what they use in house. So I've got the melody here. And it also has like a 7th layer or a 5th layer, one of the two. So basically, what you can do is you just add 7 semitones, and then this is what you do in house anyway. You add 7 semitones and see how it goes. So that's not it. So we go down. Okay, that's the right harmony, sort of. We need to go down another semitone, so we'll go 7 plus 12 is a 19. Brilliant. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another on our C layer. I'm going to add another in top layer, and then we're just going to detune it. So we have maybe 10 cents. It's pretty nice. It's up to you how you want it. So that's sounding pretty big already. I want to turn my middle layer up a bit. So I just added another layer of my middle layer, and we're only going to have maybe one oscillator for these two. I guess you could achieve the same thing by cranking this up and then just adding the detune. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing actually, but fuck it. So now that we have the 3 layers, there's also going to be another bass sub-layer. The next thing, I mean, this might take a while, depending on the sound that you're trying to make. You could spend a lot of time here. I mean, the relative mix of these is going to be very important. You may want more of the top end, you may want less of the middle end. It drastically affects the sound, so definitely spend some time getting this right. Or even just practicing it, because you're not going to be good at it from the start. I guess I should quickly explain, this is the source area, this is our oscillators, or samples depending on how you're using Alchemy. And if you are using oscillators, then you'll be using this VA tab here that has your oscillators that tell you which waveform you're using. It's kind of like massive in your wavetables. It's very similar. except this is a little more. You could argue this is a little more versatile than massive. So the next thing to do, which is the most important thing, is the modulation. So we're going to be using. We want a pluck sound. So to make a pluck sound, we want to turn the sustain right there, so that the sound is just going straight to 0. But we do want some release on there, so that when we let go, there's still a bit of sound. So now you've got a good house sound that you can use. Just use dotted notes and then add some kick and snare to that, and you've got a sick. You're dead mouse. You're a 2007 era dead mouse. Yeah. So, but we're trying to do Robina, so. So what's going to happen is it's going to vary with the song. So what you want to do is you want to automate the decay. So maybe in like the build up, we're going to have it kind of closed off, and then in the actual drop, we're going to have it quite open. Yeah, so that's when you'll be wanting to use automation. Now we're going to apply the same principle that we're using on our amplitude envelope, and we're going to apply it to the filtering. This is also very common. This is a technique that you should definitely utilize. Now, one thing to note is that this top filter here doesn't have key tracking, to my knowledge anyway. So I'm going to use the individual filters on each oscillator here, because if we want key tracking, if you don't know what key tracking is, go look it up. Go read the manual. So we're going to apply a different envelope. Actually, no, we'll use the same envelope as our master. So that's by default is this ADSR1. So if we just have it on one source, we can hear what it will sound like. Maybe we want the sustain up a little. We don't want the cutoff all the way down. We don't want it completely open either. So, yeah, you gotta play around with the depth here, how much you want to modulate, and also the starting point. That is okay, I think. Maybe it's a little too much. Fuck it. We'll just keep moving. Now we're going to apply the same envelope to our other oscillators. Turn them on. We were 200-ish. That's maybe too much. It's okay. 200-ish. So that's basically the sound there. We kind of already have it. Now if we add in some noise, it's a lot more aggressive. A lot more aggressive. Maybe the release is a bit too booming, the sustain is too high. Yeah. So let's say this middle, so the middle oscillator is a bit quiet. We turned it up. This is the one that we turned down 19 semitones. If we have that at the same level, maybe if we turn that down, now we're already losing some of our bottoming. We put this back in. It sounds pretty fat. Now we just want to get the right mix between all of these. That sounds pretty good. We can turn that up. Maybe this white noise is not too bad. Okay, so now we add some low end. So basically, I prepared a square wave that's tuned down 24 semitones. Yeah, so that's basically your house bass, and then I'll show you in context. Let's save that. So I'll show you the little remake that I made. I do these for fun because, you know, if you're not in the mood for writing music, this is a good way to learn. Now, if you listen to Robina's one, it's actually it's like not as open as mine. The decay seems to be smaller. That bottom end seems, it's like a lot more analog sounding. I want to know what kind of synths he was using. Perhaps we just need, I gotta tweak it a little. So in this one, when I did it originally, I actually ended up using two different envelopes for my amplitude and my filters, which was a little silly because they're basically doing the same thing. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to automate the decay. So let's say, in this build up, let me just mute this piano. It's a lot quieter. The decay is smaller. So what I did was I went to each envelope and I added the modulation, the performer, control 1. So I did that for both my envelope 1 and envelope 2. So envelope 1 is my amplitude, and envelope 2 is my filters. So then you can see over time here, let's make this bigger. Just watch this knob and this knob here. Let's have a look. That looks fine. And then on the right here, just have a look at the automation. So have a look at this lane. Let's turn it down. So notice how this is slowly creeping up. Let's open more. Let's put in the melody. And now it's basically going to open completely. So hopefully that's not too quiet for you. So yeah, that's basically like how you do your house basses. You'd have some kind of decay modulation. Maybe you have some filtering on there. That's the other thing that I have on here. I also had some filtering because in the original song you can hear that it's not as open as, so there's like a high pass and a low pass, which I got going on here. The low pass really isn't doing too much, but the high pass is basically what's really important. Yeah, so that's the house basses in general. Now, if you keep it more closed, it'll be more of a deep house bass, or maybe more of a prog house bass if you make the decay shorter or you don't have it filter as much. Yeah, so that's something that you can do in Logic. Alchemy is very powerful, just as a synthesizer or as a sampler, which you may have seen in my last video. Other things to note that are cool in this song are these swells here. Turn this up a little. So in order to get this cool sound, you could do some fancy modulation, or you could, I'll just quickly show you, I guess. You take your pad, whatever, make a duplicate of it, get the note that you want, or the chord. Maybe that goes on for too long. That's fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add a long reverb tail on there. So I'll just use Valhalla Room. Maybe you want it 100% wet. I think I do. Maybe like a longer reverb tail. It doesn't. It's up to you. So like the envelope, you have the decay here as well. So once you have that, you bounce that in place, and when you bounce in place, make sure you include the audio tail, and it will do that for you. So we can get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. Well, maybe we do it for this function. So now you can just reverse it by going into your region inspector, click reverse. Or if you don't have Logic 10, you could just do it in functions reverse down here. And then you can use this as a cool little build. Yeah, that's I guess he used this sound as well, which I just made with sine waves. Same thing, you just have a much pluckier envelope. This one I didn't mess with because it took me a bit quick, but you could obviously do this in Alchemy. Or even the ES2. They're still quite the same. Like his is definitely a lot more close, it's crunchier sounding, but you know, he's probably better at production than I am, which is why he's got releases and shit. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me think if there's anything that I forgot to add. So really what's important is the layers, the mixes between the oscillators of your synth, and also like your top layer and your sub layer. Maybe my sub layer is not heavy enough. Oops. And you got to think about the blend between the two. So in order to get them to blend better, I also, in my top layer, I just added an EQ here. Because without it, it sounds a little, the bottom end sounds fine. I think before when I was working it, I had a saw wave and it sounded really messy, so that's why I put that on there. Let's see what it's like without it. You know, I can't actually tell that much of a difference, but I'm on these headphones, so I can't really tell. You know, if the other thing is, like, some people get a little too militant with their EQing. The low end is very important, but sometimes you can take up too much, and you start losing life any mixes and whatnot. So maybe if you are going to do some EQing, don't make your shit so steep. I used to like to do this all the time, but maybe you want more of a blend. Maybe you could start filtering from higher up, but you have like a less steep cue, you know? Just think about doing that kind of stuff if you're going to be EQing. Obviously, I could add a little compression. I add a compressor and some reverb. There's a very small amount of reverb. I have 2 levels of compression, so I have one compression to basically gel my sub and the top bit together. It's like we're working a little bit low ratio, and then on top of that I have the sidechain compression. Which helps it pump. And it's being triggered by drums that I made that are not going anywhere. They're just a signal chain because I'm using the original drums which I sampled from the end of the track. So yeah, I hope you liked that tutorial on how to make a little house bass. Yeah. I hope you like the song. I mean, it's not my song, it's Robina's song, so go check out Robina on SoundCloud or whatever. It's a fucking sick track. I hope he makes more like it. Yeah. So just I guess I keep forgetting. Like I guess just think about all the dynamics or your automation, which will get your track to gel more. Because that's basically this whole song is one synth. 2 synths, and then the dynamics are based on how open the decay is, and that's like house for you. So yeah, sorry I didn't really plan this out that well. I was just doing it the way that I like to do it on my stream. So if you like these, come check out my stream on Twitch. I'll put a link to that in the description. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Send me a comment, whatever. I read it all. I really like seeing the feedback. I mean, I wouldn't have made another video if my last video wasn't so well received. So just keep sending me the love. Follow me on SoundCloud. Follow me on Twitch. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy.